maybe you were sympathetic to what I've been saying about it. I have my days without waiting for solar chart. We're going to get to that in a minute. It's up to 11,003. But it seems like what we have here is a case of one state that is terribly overgoverned and one state that's terribly undergoverned. As sweeping generalizations go, is that true, you think?
Actually not. So I think, weirdly, California is undergoverned. Part of the point of that column is that it's really hard for a lot of California politicians to get anything done. So in California, in LA, I talked about Eric Garcetti. He got LA to pass a huge homelessness initiative, Measure H, passed a sales tax, the whole thing. But then it took 3 years to open the first homeless shelter because in LA, every community would organize to keep the homeless shelter from coming into their area. California's leaders did want to do high-speed rail, but like individual cities, individual places, individual lawyers stopped it. So one of the weird things about California is, as much as it seems really progressive, and this is the point I make in the column, a lot of people in it, a lot of folks who have like Black Lives Matter signs in their front yard and say every life is, kindness is everything and no human being is illegal, they actually organize against anything that would bring more equity and create change in their individual lives. And as you see there's a lot of folks at the top of California government who want to speed solar power, and then getting individual local governments to allow more building or change local regulations is unbelievably hard because of how fractured and decentralized power is in the internal structures.
I think we're saying the same thing under different terms. Maybe I used the wrong term with overgo. All I know is I had 11 people at my house on Tuesday. Now, I've shown the shed. This is the shed that took 3 years to build, and these are 11. Now, by the way, these are all nice people. I talked to them. They're smart. They're professional. It's not their fault. It's just, this is like the answer to the joke, how many state officials does it take to screw in a light bulb? 11, apparently. Yeah, and I'm appreciative that they even came out to the house. But just like, really? If that's not the definition of overgoverning, I don't know what it is. But something is wrong that these people have to do these different jobs to just do something very simple. I'm just switching over to solar. I'm not putting a helicopter pad on my roof,
That might work too, though. 1,103 days. I would ask the question, why? I mean, the regulation should fit the risk. And if you're willing to make the investment yourself to put up the solar panels.
Yeah.
And who's really taking the risk here?
John, it took a year and 3 inspections to put in a new garage door. And I said to the guy, if it falls on my head, that's my fucking problem. Okay, so California has 395,000 regulatory restrictions. In Walnut, you can't fly a kite higher than 10 feet. In San Francisco, you can't carry bread, cakes, or pastries in open baskets or exposed containers. In San Jose, it's illegal to own more than 2 dogs or cats. In Long Beach, you can't put anything in your car but a garage. I'm gonna read this quote from James Vanderbeek. He was on Dawson's Creek. Remember him? Okay, one of the many people who left California. Here's what he said. He wrote this. This is interesting. He said, at the park in Beverly Hills, near where we just moved away from, we were not allowed to fly a kite. Also not allowed at any park, riding a bicycle, climbing a tree, throwing a ball against a wall, learning anything from an instructor, using weights, wearing cleats. You couldn't use the batting cage. Only the Democrats could suck the fun out of a park. And he said, this is why we're moving. And then he goes to Texas and gets stuck in the cold and has no water. And so I don't know what my question is. Like, where would you rather live? Which is worse?
Well, I think the problem here is you need to apply a little common sense, which is, I think, what you're trying to apply, Bill.
Yeah.
And when we have folks out there that say we want to do away with all regulation, some regulation is actually necessary.
Of
and the
course.
problem with these kind of regulations...
They give a bad name.
That's right. They give a bad name to the regulation.